Hey everybody. There's been this issue in the news recently with regards towards copyright and with regards towards this issue called whether or not something is transformative under copyright law. And I wanted to essentially make this video to lay out how image generation AI actually generates images and why I think that under any basic Supreme Court definition that it could ever come under, that they will in fact find out that, and they will rule that image generation AIs are 100% transformative, and that there's not a question of that. And then so I think that there's actually two court cases that are currently working their way through the courts, and it'll take about a year or so before we actually hear anything of them. But the biggest one is actually currently Getty Images versus Stability AI. And Getty Images' argument is that Stability AI utilized the Getty image library to train Stable Diffusion and the other AI models, image generation models that are put out by Stability AI. And Stability AI's argument is that the images that are generated from it are transformative, and then so therefore they don't violate any sort of copyright law. And I think that Stability AI is going to 100% win that argument, and I think it won't be a question whatsoever. And so I just want to illustrate really simply why I think that. So starting with this image, I think that I start with this image on purpose, and I utilize this particular image generation model on purpose. And so I think the first thing I want to do is highlight this and just call this out. So this is on Hugging Face, and this is called a rich text to image. And the reason why I'm using this specific text to image generation model is because it shows you exactly what it does. So it first takes the token maps, and then it maps out the image, first the hair, and then the background and like the face features, and then it extrapolates that into a segmentation, and then it creates a photographic plain text image off of that, and then then it transforms the plain text image into something more, and then so in this particular instance, let's say that this plain text image that we're looking at here of the girl with like the kind of like reddish hair, maybe I'm colorblind, but with her hair, and let's say that we transform it, and then this picture is copyrighted, that her red hair is copyrighted and her picture of it is, and then we transform this image into with green hair, like her same image with green hair and green eyes even. Like the Supreme Court, I think that if this is all that image generation did, flat out the Supreme Court would rule that this is not transformative. And I think that they would base that, I base that off of the Warhol case that happened recently. And like this type of transformation of images is exactly the level that was in the Warhol case. Essentially, the original image was a Prince image, and then Warhol changed the color of the Prince images, and then like the Supreme Court ended up ruling that that was not transformative enough. So same thing here. I think that this wouldn't be transformative enough, and I'm very purposely going through these images because, again, that same exact thing. I don't think that any of these images that we're currently looking at here would be transformative enough. I think that we can very clearly, though, instantaneously, if we just look at this very first image, this would 1000% pass any sort of transformative test. And so we can see here, it follows through the same pattern that we saw before. Here's the plain text image of the cat, and here's the transformed image. And we can see, notice a few things here. The very first thing is that the cat is in a completely different pose. We can also see that it's even a slightly different camera angle. It's a more zoomed in camera angle. Of course, you have the glasses. I would also argue like there's a protrusion that is coming out here that's not visible in the original image. So even the area around the paws is transformed. And then of course you have the bandana that's transformed. The background and the image of the motorcycle itself is more blurred in this image. So I think overall, if you compare these images, there is literally no question that even if this original image here was copyrighted, that the cat with the glasses image that this produces would be transformative enough to not violate any sort of copyright law. And these are the types of images that AI really produces and easily produces, and that we look at in general. So again, here's another one. And then just showing again, here's the original image. The original image is an actual picture, and then it's we can see that it's flowers and of an ocean, and there's an actual ocean here, and then the sky. Whereas this transformed image, we can see there's a meadow in the background, no ocean, and then we do have the sky. And then it's also a painting and a picture, and then we can also see that it's not anywhere like it's not word for word, but image for image transformation of the picture. Like if you look at the bush in the plain text picture compared to the bush here, two totally different bushes. If you look at the flower layout and the flower arrangement, it is not like it's just taking the exact same flower arrangement, it's changing it. And then even the background in the original picture, you can see this, you have the hill that kind of rises up in the background before the ocean, and then you have that split in the background where you don't have any of that in the transformed image. It's 100% transformed. And I think like anyone that there's no argument there. I think this is a more interesting image. Is this transformed? I would argue that this is transformed, and I think that the Supreme Court would argue that this is transformed too. So we can see here exactly the process that it goes through to make the image, and then we've got the plain text image and then the rich text image. So we see a few things here. First of all, in the plain text image, there's no oven in the front, like this oven range. I think like that transforms this in and of itself. Secondarily, the refrigerator door, not only is the fridge open, but we can see it's 100% a different type of refrigerator, or the AI messed up, either one, but let's go with a different type of refrigerator because of the fact that it's only one door and one door open here, as opposed to two doors that are open in the original picture. We can also see that this other picture is a more zoomed in shot of the as opposed to the original picture. And then we can also see that there's if you look at the stovetop itself, there's elements of the stovetop that are changed, that aren't actually in the original image itself, and that have been transformed and moved around at least a little bit. So there's multiple elements of these two images that make them, to me, significantly different enough that it would be complete transformation. And then the last thing, we can just look at one more here. Let's look at, I think this one's really straightforward and simple example, and I think that this one it would be going back to the color argument. I think that this would be like kind of the most kind of gray area that you would be able to get into based off of the Warhol argument. But I think even this would be considered transformation. So very first thing that we can see is that there's definite transformation of the crust in these pictures, between these pictures. More detail. The crust in the top image is cooked differently than the bottom crust. We can see that. And then also too, there's a few elements and a few of the items that are missing and not in the original image. And then it's not actually just taking these pepperonis. Like it's you can see the pepperoni arrangement and layout is different between the two. So it's not like it's even with just the pepperonis, it's a pizza, but it's not the same exact pizza. The pepperoni arrangements are not the same. The pineapples are not in the same arrangement or the same exact pineapples. Each one is shape shifted and it's a different shape of pineapple. And then lastly, the black goo, and so that's what I want to highlight within this. So like, it's I think that this is a different color transformation entirely than the Warhol. So with the Warhol decision, it was a Prince image, and then it was like what we saw in what we're looking at here, where it's just changing the color of it from like the girl that has red hair to the girl that has green hair, and then it's same thing with Prince. It's like here's a normal picture of Prince, here's a picture of Prince where he's green. It's like yeah, okay, that's I can understand that that's not 100% transformative just because of a changing of color, but in this instance, you're changing this bottom pizza is an appetizing pizza. Whereas this black goo, I don't even know what it is, but it makes it transforms the pizza entirely into something that I would not want to eat. And so when it comes to the essence of pizza, which is what they would be looking at in this instance, it totally transforms the image because one is one that I would want to eat, and then one is one I would refuse to eat. And so I think overall, this hopefully gives a good description and a good argument as to why I'm not at all worried about what is going to happen with any sort of Supreme Court decision or how they're going to rule in the end with on any of this as to whether or not this is transformative. And then so again, I would argue that this is not transformative in and of itself. Like if LLMs could just do this, not transformative. But the fact that LLMs can do this is transformative all day long. And then so there, at the very least, what will end up happening is you might have an argument where the Supreme Court says someone could get sued over this, but there's like a 0% chance that anyone on the planet is ever going to get sued over this. That's just my opinion on this. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.